All right, y'all. So we back, man. This was not what I was planning on doing. Like, I don't know who all looked at my YouTube live stream that I literally just did not too long ago. But I showed y'all how I had everything lined up to do this Tupac and Big video, and I'm still gonna do it regardless. Like, I don't care if I don't do it during Gemini season. I don't care if I do it during Cancer season, because I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. And with Pac being such a light warrior and all of this crazy stuff that's going on right now, it's very, very hard trying to do this channeling type stuff, because I still am not gonna go on record and say that I'm some psychic medium type shit, because nah, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then I'm just gonna do things how I normally do it, where I break down the astrology. And even in my fashion of doing things, it's still not gonna sound like something that somebody else got out, because you got countless numbers of people that's done these type of videos. But y'all know, when I put my own experience and I put my own expertise on it, it's gonna sound a lot different. So just for a little bit, I just want to talk about this topic on how sex is, at least on this plane, the lowest level of communication, but it's the highest level of creation. But before I get into that, I want to address this comment that I got on YouTube from Yahla Sokar. I really hope I'm saying your name right, sister. And I'm gonna take this in small pieces. So she says, can you touch on relationships where the man and woman may be on different stages of enlightenment? Can this relationship be successful? And just overall, the answer is yes, but it really depends. And what it mainly depends on is how willing to learn is the person that's at the lower level of enlightenment, and also how patient as well as how wise is the person that's at the top level of enlightenment, so that they can effectively teach and break down things to a level to where the person at the lower level can understand it, and that it'll help them on their journey. So let me keep reading this comment. So she says, struggling this way with my enlightened alpha male that has helped bring me to higher stages of development, but will belittle me because I'm not on his level. Age differences as well. He's 10 years older. Now, I'm just gonna answer this judging by your verbiage and the words that you said. So for everybody who watched my video about the enlightened man, you will know that the alpha male stage is stage 2, meaning that he still has a whole other stage that whenever he's ready, he's going to end up embarking on that stage. And the thing about it is, in stage 3, that enlightened man stage, not only do you get a lot of compassion on that stage, because remember, when it comes to the alpha males, like I explained, you're always in competition. So it's like, even when everybody else is telling you like, yo, like, you've really grown, you've really reached a plateau and all of that, in your mind as an alpha male, the work is never finished. The grind is never over. And for us alpha males who have real tough skin, there are ways that we talk to each other. And since we cool, we take it as motivation, you know, to be better as an alpha male. Because at the end of the day, if you call yourself alpha and somebody else is in the room and they call themselves alpha, there can only be one alpha in a space, because there's going to be a lot of tension and competition going on, because neither alpha wants to be outdone. So we may joan on each other. We might say some mildly disrespectful things, especially if we know each other. Like, if we real tight like that and we know that you're not going to flip out, or you're not going to take something the wrong way or anything like that, especially where I'm from in Memphis, shoot, you'll get checked and joan real quick. And the fact if you can joan back and it's actually funny, that proves if your skin is tough. And along with other little tests, you know, those are the show and prove type alphas. And then you have the other alphas who are more lifestyle based. So you step in the room and you call yourself an alpha, the first thing people are gonna say is gonna be on some big T type shit. They're gonna be like, what's your life like? And if your life don't reflect all the stuff that you're boasting about and saying that you are, then that's gonna disqualify you as alpha. Now, since the woman stages of enlightenment are very different from a man's stages of enlightenment, when that man tries to do those same things to you, which if he was doing it to another guy, that guy would look at it as motivation. Like, yeah, you got me this time, but I'm coming back. And when I come back, I'm coming back stronger. I'm coming back more determined. I'm coming back more alpha. To a woman, in which, just being completely honest with you, when a woman gets to that stage 3, which is that great mother stage, that Akasha stage, that Obanani stage, just by feminine nature alone, she's gonna be a lot more softer. She's gonna be a lot more gentle, because at the end of the day, that's what a mother's love is. It's real soft, it's real gentle, it's real nurturing. So when a woman first start out in that Lilith stage, just like Oya, she's gonna have a lot of masculine energy, because like I said before in my video that I talked about Lilith, when a woman has an influx of feminine energy and it's just overflowing, but she never truly learned just yet how to properly release that energy, and it starts to harden inside of her, it will appear to be masculine energy, but actually it's like a block of ice. It's the best way I can explain it. So it's like, in his eyes, he's looking at you energetically and spiritually as one of the fellas who's coming up and trying to get on that alpha male type of wave. Now, I don't know if what I'm saying is true or not. You can just take this information for how it is, and like they say, if it don't apply, let it fly. But I take it y'all are in a loving type of relationship. But I just know sometimes in general, when we as men try to not only chastise, but if we're in that alpha state and we're trying to motivate you, in our minds, we gotta break you down before we can build you up. because as men, that's what we do. We build and destroy and then rebuild, especially if you're on that Oshun type shit, thinking that you're so irresistible and no one can turn you down. And I'm not saying that this is you, but especially in those type of situations, the first thing that an alpha male is going to do is to quote unquote bring that woman back down to earth, aka put her in a place to where she's more on a feminine and receiving side of the game so that she can be more susceptible to his alpha masculine energy. It's just like when you see a father and he's motivating his son. Maybe his son was acting up in school or he was doing something, and that father can see the potential in his son. But when kids get a little older and they start to smell themselves and they think that they the shit and all of that, so the first thing that we do is tell you that you ain't shit. Now, we're not saying that to belittle you or demean you or nothing like that, but what we're really just trying to tell you is that I'm no better than you and you're no better than me. But in order for me to really lace you with this game, I gotta kill that ego first, because sometimes the ego can get in the way, and that's not a good thing, because as men, we value time over anything. And that's one thing that an alpha male do not like to waste is his time. So he want to go ahead right quick, nip it in the bud, kill that ego, so he can make sure that when he gives you that game, you'll be totally susceptible to it and that it won't go in one ear and out the other. Because truth be told, my mom and dad are 10 years apart. So it was a lot of things that my dad had to teach my mom too. And shoot, I feel like he did a pretty bang up job, because my mom and dad been together for over 20 something years, almost 30 years now. Yeah, I think it is 30 years, either 30 years or 31 years. And my mom is still the most sweetest, divinely feminine type of woman that you would ever want to meet. And my dad, he's still that enlightened but still strict type of guy. And that's the reason why I have the philosophies and the mindset that I have, because I know that if it worked with my mom and my dad, then the possibilities are endless. So sister, hope that answers your question. And also, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing consultations as well. So any of y'all have any other type of questions, make sure y'all email me, shopmeliamar@gmail.com. So let's get into this subject a little bit. So when I made my last podcast and I was talking about how being blue pill and being innocent are two totally different things, the reason why I was able to break that down so eloquently like I did is because even though I've only been on this earth for 28 years, I can say that I've witnessed in my own life in some way, shape, or form all three of those interactions with the women that I've been with throughout my life. But I can honestly say that I've had more stage 3 interactions with women since I was a lot younger, and even now. And the thing about it was, before I got hip and privy to this information, I used to think that something was wrong with me in a way, because it's like in my life, I feel that I started touching on to the stage 3 a lot faster, I guess, than I was supposed to, because I was always fascinated with knowledge. It got to the point where I valued at an early age my music and my craft and the knowledge that I learned. It would give me that same rush, and it would give me that same eureka type of feeling that I would have during sex, minus the tiredness that you feel after sex. So when it came to a lot of situations to where I could have got some sex from women, I would turn them down simply because I was either making a real dope beat or I was making a real dope song. And the more I started having sex, I would start to feel how different I would feel spiritually. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I could have all of this creative energy inside of me, and then as soon as I have sex and then I try to go back to making my song or go back to making my beat, it's like all of that creative spark or whatever it is, it just left me. And I didn't like that. I would feel very, very down and almost in a depressing type of state. And then I started to learn about Tantra, and I started to really learn about how valuable not only my sperm is, but I started to learn about energy, and I started to learn about how sex was a transfer of energy. And that really started to get me not paranoid, but it just got to the point where unless I had a genuine connection with you and we just vibed on all different types of levels, I didn't even want to share myself with you, even though I was protected with a condom. So it's like throughout my life, I would attract a lot of older women, and these older women would do things for me that most guys, they wouldn't get that treatment unless they had sex with them. They wouldn't get that treatment unless they was on some simp shit, unless they was on some relationship type stuff. And until I learned how powerful that really was, I used to think something was weird about that, because I was always taught that sex was everything. But with me doing this shadow work, a lot of questions are starting to be answered, because like I said, y'all, it's a gift and a curse going to stage 3. And when I say it's lonely, I mean it really is. Man, it be points where I'll get super flea, go out to the club looking good, when if this was back in 2011, back in like 2012 or something like that, I'll be able to get on some chicks, dance with them, all that kind of stuff. But it's like literally when I walk into the club, it's literally like it's a whole bunch of roaches and you just cut the light on. It's like everywhere I go when I'm walking in the club, I'm walking around, even if I try to go up to a chick and talk to her or try to dance with her, it's literally like I'm invisible. Like my frequency or whatever is just vibrating at such a high level that different places like clubs and certain bars and stuff like that, I just don't fit in anymore. And the thing about it was, back in 2013, I had this woman that I used to talk to, and she was actually a prophet on the Christian side of the game. And she was warning me back then how when you get to that enlightened stage and you get them quote unquote Holy Ghost shades, it's hard for you to even go into places like that anymore. And it's like I never really imagined that the stuff that she was saying was actually true until I got there. And it It is so funny. I kid y'all not, every single woman that I pulled from a club type situation, she always had some type of innocence about her that reminded me of myself. She was real feminine, and it's like when she would approach me, there was no awkward silence or nothing like that. It's like as soon as she approached me, I said, "What's up?" And it's just like the conversation just flowed. I really didn't have to put a lot of effort into it at all. All I had to do was just be me, and it just happened. So shout out to BOA, shout out to Dr. BOA, because when it comes to that cold approaching situation, I mean, I feel the same way, because it really truly seems like every woman that approaches me, either she's someone who's going to be instrumental in my enlightenment path, whether she's a poet, she's a singer, she's a herbalist, she's a spiritual type of person that gives readings, or I mean, it's like clockwork. And the thing about it is, not all of these women I have sex with, but it's like that feeling of euphoria, that happy feeling that I get when they do for me whatever service that they would like to provide to help me out. That feeling is a lot more satisfying than just busting a nut. So at an early age, I learned about not putting things like sex on such a high pedestal when a woman comes into your life and she have a lot of other things that she can offer. Because I can't lie, I've been in a few situations to where sex actually ruined things for me. Like, I had real big situations where I had a real nice chick that was gonna do this real good service for me and all of that, whatever it was. And it's like, as soon as we had sex, it's like things changed. Just like that Musiq Soulchild song, Half Crazy. And it got to the point where she would be talking about that she's catching feelings for me and she want to be in a exclusive monogamous type of relationship, which that's not something that I even want to get into. And I've never been the type of person to dirty mac, meaning that I'm not about to lie to a chick and say, yeah, you know, I want to be in a relationship with you and I want to get married and I want to do all this stuff just because I want to keep having sex with you. I've always had what you would call an abundance mindset about certain things before I even knew the terminology of abundance mindset. So that's why I gravitate towards people like Dr. BOA and C Boogie, Coach Greg Adams, Thinking Man's Templar, Black Ram 313, because it's like a lot of the stuff that they talk about and they put the terminologies on it, it's stuff that instinctively I used to do anyway. I mean, I either thought that it was something wrong with me because I thought differently than all of the other guys that I would hang around, or it'll be a situation to where I just feel happy that I dodged so many bullets in my life because I didn't do those same pitfalls and do those same mistakes that my other homeboys did. So I forgot what podcast that I was talking about this when I was talking about my lower self, aka Playboy P, how that whole situation came about. And before I get into that, I really want to break something down to all of y'all and just tell y'all that the you that's in this body, that's in these 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, this isn't the whole you. I'm gonna say it like that. Because when you came into the body that you got, the best way I can explain it is trying to put steam into a bottomless cup. That bottomless cup represents your body and the small fragment of you that's housed in that bottomless cup. So the steam at the top that's going into that bottomless cup, that steam represents your higher self. And picture it as a huge cloud of steam, because your higher self is still that super divine piece of you that's still connected to the one. Now, everybody got their own definition of it. I like to call it the collective consciousness. Some people like to call it God. Some people even call it Akasha, because Akasha, the name Akasha, represents space. And then the steam that's gathering at the bottom part of that bottomless cup, that steam represents your lower self. So this example just goes to show you that you're always evolving and devolving at the same time. It just depends on what frequency you want to stay on, because it's all you at the end of the day. So as I told y'all, with me being a Gemini, the way I like to explain it in my life is that, still using this analogy, the higher version of myself, where I bring to y'all most of these spiritual messages from the higher realms, that avatar is called Mr. Bandclap. The man in the middle that has to process everything and put everything in words and all of that, that's Rick. And then the guy that's in the underworld gathering information and doing things down there to bring information back to me, aka the avatar that I turn into when I go into the underworld, he's Playboy P. That's just how I like to call it. So in essence, Playboy P would be my shadow self. Now, since I already named him and I already gave him his own set of characteristics and all of that type of stuff, it's very easy for me to communicate with my shadow self. And with me doing this shadow work, the last stop in my shadow work was me getting back in touch with my shadow self. Because just like when I talked about Ayesha Curry, how she went all the way to stage 3 at a very, very young and early age, it got to the point where she went from stage 3 back to stage 2 because she really wanted a career and her own definition when it comes to defining herself as an entity instead of just being known as Steph Curry's wife and all of that. But then it got to the point where now, since she's at stage 2, mentally and emotionally and all of that, now she's looking down at stage 1 and she's looking like, damn, because stage 2 was already a gamble. But see, stage 1 is that point of no return when you're regressing. And a lot of women, when they try to go back to stage 1, they're never the same afterwards. Not only are they never the same, they end up losing everything that they gained from stage 3 and most of stage 2. So in a way, I started to kind of have those thoughts because since I went from stage 2 to stage 3 and I never really went to stage 1 when it came to the man and woman side of the game, it got to the point where I was put into an environment to where all that were around me were stage 1 type of chicks, and quite naturally I got no play from them, respectfully. But I would always think that, damn, like maybe it's something wrong with me, like what's going on, like why can't I just smash some chicks and all of that. And I would get into those type of situations where I would come across a chick that's on stage 1 and I would try to spit some game or try to do something and it just wouldn't come out. I would try my best to channel Playboy P. That nigga, he just didn't want to come out. I was like, damn, it's like the only way I can get you out is if I'm talking about doing a song or doing a performance or doing something like that. You can see my aggression and you can see all of that in that, but it's like every time I get to a woman and she's not on stage 3 or at least 2.5, I'm always put into the position of a therapist. So I started to get very frustrated. And you know, when you're a very spiritual type of person and you start to get mad, the spirit starts moving. Things just start happening and revealing themselves to you and all of that. So I meditated and I had a talk with my lower self, aka my shadow self, because I can't lie, y'all. Brother Panic is right. Man, when you go into that fucking, I don't know if it's the underworld or the spirit world, whatever you call it, nigga, it is a fucking party. It really is. It's a party. And when I go into that realm and I'm Playboy P, it be on and popping. But I could never understand why I couldn't do the same stuff that I did in the spirit realm, in the physical realm. That's until I really started having sex. And I just want to break down for y'all the difference between the way sex is in the astral realm versus the way sex is in this realm. And this is the main reason why my shadow self was like, nigga, hell no, nigga. You doing exactly what you supposed to be doing. If I came into your realm and did what you wanted me to do, nigga, I would fuck your life up. And the thing about it is, he was right. Because see, when we talk about the astral realm and we talk about that realm where you're just a spiritual being, you don't have a physical body, so that means that you don't have the limitations that the physical body has. And side note, this really made me appreciate just who I am in general. And it really just made me appreciate just the way I was raised and how I came up in my life. Because me having that split dual spiritual situation to where I can have a piece of me in the underworld that I can go in there, and when I come back to this world and all the stuff that I did down there, I can literally feel everything. So if I was fucking down there, when I wake up, I feel like I had sex. If I was getting some knowledge from Akasha or getting some knowledge from the Erzulis or anything like that, I would wake up just feeling so enlightened, but hot as hell, because the Erzulis, their energy can be very hot. And even on the flip side, when I go into my other self and go into the higher realms and get information from Tahuti and Isis and Oshun and the Orishas and all of that, I wake up, even if I'm having a bad morning or anything like that, I just wake up just feeling like I'm just ready to take on the world. Like I just drunk like 2 cups of coffee and I'm just on go. So when we talk about sex in the astral realm and talking about this too, it really helped me to understand women, because for women, this is still very true. And in a lot of ways, even for us men, this is true too. It's just that when we get older and we reach puberty and all of that, and we learn what our dick is used for and all of that, we start to lose that side of us. So anybody who astral travels or lucid dream or anything like that, y'all will be able to really relate to what I'm saying. Now, like I said before, you're a very highly layered, highly advanced spiritual being. I mean, you are. And I know this because I've done some shit that really proved that we're so multidimensional, and it's so fascinating. But when you're in that astral realm, even though you're not in your physical body anymore, the fact that you've been in your physical body for so long, you can still kind of remember what your physical body looks like. But since you don't have that function of your brain because you're in the etheric realm, it's really hard for you to kind of keep that form, keep that shape. That's why sometimes you know that you're in a lucid dream if you look into a mirror in your dream and you see your mind trying to hold the form that your physical body has, but it's just hard to really do it. You start looking a little crazy, and then you look at your hands. Sometimes you might have an extra finger, stuff like that. Now, since you're not in your physical male or female body anymore, when you have sex in the spiritual realm, depending on how advanced you are at astral projection or whatever you want to call it, it's like whatever senses you thought you had, all of that shit heightens to like times 100. Shoot, you think you feeling good in this realm, having this 30-45 minute sex, whatever you call it, but man, in the astral realm, there's no sense of time. So you could literally feel like you're having sex for hours and you will only sleep for like 30 minutes. Literally, you feel everything. And when I say everything, because every single part of your body has different pressure points and energy centers and stuff like that, just like how every machine has different wires and stuff like that. So just imagine you just have a machine and it's just straight straight electricity just going through it. It ain't got no wires, it ain't got no physical parts or anything like that. And the most satisfying, I would say the most satisfying part about it is when you start off having astral sex, you start off at damn near your highest point of climax. But in the spirit realm, there's no such thing as ejaculation. That's a physical thing. So just imagine you with this chick or whatever, and y'all in the spirit realm, and y'all just going at it for hours, it feels like. And the whole time you're at that height of climax, but you don't ejaculate at all. And you just wake up and you just feel this just ultimate state of bliss. The best way I can explain it is a man having a full female type of orgasm. I know for a lot of guys, it's hard to even fathom because unless you went to some real deep tantric type stuff, you're not going to feel nothing like that just having just regular sex with a girl. You're not going to feel that. I mean, to the point where you wake up and you just curled up in a ball, rolling around in the bed type shit. But see, that's just on one level, because the only reason why you can do it on that level because you still remember that you had a body and you're still connected to that body. Now, let's talk about sex in the primordial type of sense, because even when we're talking in the astral realm and the primordial realm and all of that, what I'm really talking about is deep and dark aspects of your own mind. Literally, that's all I'm talking about. When I'm talking about the astral realm and I'm talking about all of this stuff, I'm just talking about the deep dark dimensions of your own mind. And see, when it comes to women, they still dwell on that principle. See, with us as men, when we're little, we have these things called wet dreams, to where we go into the astral realm and we get with a girl or whatever and we have sex. But the thing about it is, since we're still connected to our body, and even though I don't want to bring this up, I really don't, but just like that Black Mirror episode where those two guys was playing that video game and they were able to feel everything that was going on with the characters in the video game, in a way, it's like that when you're quote unquote having a wet dream. Since your mind and your body is connected, since you're alive on this plane, everything that you go through in your mind, some of that stuff does communicate with your body. And sex is one of those universal type things. So when you're a little boy, or like a boy that's in puberty or whatever, and he haven't started masturbating yet, still in that innocent state, he has these wet dreams. But since he haven't really done that in the physical realm just yet, and since he doesn't masturbate, so he has all of that build up inside of him that's now being put under pressure, because now your mind is starting to trick your body that is doing something that is really not doing. When you get into that wet dream, a lot of times it's hard for you to hold frame in the dream because you end up waking up with a wet bed. And I don't even gotta go through all of that telling y'all what's in the bed because y'all already know. But see, once we get older and we start either masturbating or we start physically having sex, a lot of those dreams stop because you're getting it in real life, or aka you're getting it in a physical lower level type of sense. Now, when it comes to a woman in that situation, those dreams never stop. Not only does it never stop, she truly starts to internalize a lot of things. That's why I always say you gotta really be careful what you let your kids watch, listen to, and be around, because once your mind has been imprinted with something that's negative or something that's your child was not supposed to be exposed to until they were mature enough to process what they're watching or what they're listening to or what they're around, these are where sexual fantasies come from. Because I can't lie, for me as a man, even though I have sex on the physical level, I still have those vivid dreams about it in the spiritual realm that I can recall and remember, that really shows me that, to be honest with y'all, this earthly sex shit, it ain't really shit if you're just doing it the same way you would just do it animalistically. I'm gonna say it like that, because see, in the spirit realm and the primordial realm, sex is the oldest form of communication, and to be honest with you, it's really the only means of communication. That's why it goes on a lot. So let me break it down in a different type of example. When you have a conversation with a woman and you're feeling her vibe and y'all just having this real deep conversation and the chemistry is just good and all of that, you're literally having mental sex with her. Your mental mind and her mental mind are literally having sex, and the result of that is going to be, if the mental sex was good, y'all would create a physical relationship. Now, since you got free will on this earth, that relationship could just be a friendship, it could be a fling, it could be a full-on relationship in the physical realm, whatever. But then when y'all physically have sex in the spirit realm, that's considered a marriage. Now, when I say the word marriage, I don't mean it in the sense that you're exclusively with this person for the rest of your life and all of that. When I say marriage, I mean a divine connection, because what makes it a divine connection is that on a higher mental plane, y'all had sex and created a relationship, and then on the underworld lower plane, y'all had physical sex, and due to your free will, this may or may not happen, but it's kind of like opening up a portal, because once you complete that connection, now y'all create a baby. And depending on how strong or how weak that mental connection was that y'all had together, that's going to determine whether you're going to pull down a light being, or that's going to determine whether you're going to pull down a warrior god. So that's up to y'all, because primordial in a spiritual sense just means the beginning before the beginning. And that's not bad. It's just something that in this world, it may seem non-conventional because you grew up and was raised up in a certain societory space that wasn't around when that primordial essence was around and it was ruling things and all of that. Now, when I say that sex is the lowest level of communication on the physical realm, what I mean is having a lot of that lower level sex without first establishing that real deep mental connection first can result in some very negative and even deadly consequences, because we all are primordial beings. That's how we start off. But the reason why we came to this earth was so that we can explore and experience the more higher vibrational forms of communication, because sex in itself is a very low vibrational form of communication. At least in this realm it is. So having low vibrational communication with just any old entity is going to result in some very low vibrational shit happening to you. And that goes to STDs, STIs, unwanted pregnancies, because even communication in a low level is still going to produce something, because whether it's on a higher level or lower level, sex is going to produce and create something. And this is the reason why when you talk to somebody that really got some game, they'll tell you that when it comes to women, sex is in the mind, especially with them. Because if a woman can't mentally picture herself having sex with you and being satisfied with you, aka if you don't match her fantasy, then because of free will, she may still have the lowest level of communication with you, meaning that she will still have sex with you, but there won't be no feelings in it. Because we all know, even when we're talking about in a higher mental type of situation, you know you're truly vibing with somebody when they can feel everything you're saying. Understanding is one thing, but when they say, yeah man, I feel you, that just takes that connection just to a whole nother level. If it's two guys that's having that conversation, man, y'all end up being homeboys for life. But if it's a guy and a girl having that type of conversation, the possibilities are endless. But on a higher spiritual type of sense, if you have that divine connection with a woman's mind, that's going to be a whole lot more valuable for you in the long run when we're talking about sex. And let me explain. So the main benefit, like I always say, the main benefit of getting with a stage 3 Akasha woman and really establishing that mental connection with her, your possibility for manifesting with that woman is freaking endless. See, people just be thinking about having babies and all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that is a really good form of creation, especially if you're purposefully having the right type of sex to bring down a light warrior. But see, let's break it down to an even more situational type of level. What if you're going through some financial issues, or you got a business proposal that you don't know if it's going to go through, or maybe you got a court case and you don't even know if you're going to win that case or not, and you're an enlightened man who has the wisdom and knowledge and knows these principles about manifesting, and then you got an Akasha woman that's on the same accord. Man, when I tell you, I have success stories, man. You get with the right woman and y'all on the same accord when y'all are having physical sex, and you know these rules about semen retention, so that even though you're having physical sex, the real sex is still going on in the highest form of yourself, which is in your mind. And while you're in that mental space, you're thinking about all the things that you need, all the things that you wish to manifest. And then since she's on the same accord, she's thinking about anything that you need manifested, whatever it is, to just let it happen. And you finally get to that point where you're about to release, and you look up to the heavens and you send that supercharged request to the cosmos as it pierces through to the highest dimension where all things are possible lies at. Man, I'm gonna tell y'all this right now, man. That new phone y'all seen me doing that live stream with, I ain't paid for that phone. I coincidentally walked right into that, and that ain't the only lucky thing that happened to me today. The blessings just been raining down like this effed up Florida weather. It's been going on. But I'm for real, y'all. Sex is a lot more powerful than just the stuff that we do every day. And see, these are the things that you don't learn, quote unquote, in the field. You really gotta do some research about this. Look up Tantra, look up energy work, and look up Reiki, and look up all of these beautiful things that you can manifest, and all these things that you can do with positive sexual energy. I gotta say that you can't be trying to manifest this stuff with a succubus type of woman that's on level 1, because she still doesn't know how to distinguish the positive and negative energies within herself just yet. So ain't no telling what you're gonna manifest. It might not be what you want. That's all I'm gonna say. But also, this goes to show y'all, man, be careful who y'all out here having sex with. And that goes to men and women. There are many different ways that you can be intimate with somebody without physically having sex with them. One of the things that me and my ex used to do before we would go to sleep, I would tell her to meet me at a certain place that we could both easily visualize in our dreams. And once y'all get there, y'all can have a conversation, strategize about things, and even have sex if that's what you want to do. And I promise you, the sex that y'all have there is going to be a lot safer and still going to end up being the most fantastic thing that you've ever felt in your life. I mean, there's not too many physical things that gives me that type of feeling. The only way that I can get that type of feeling is if I'm doing something that coincides with my soul and it gives me that joy that the world didn't give to me. For example, like I said, when I make music, if I make a real dope beat and I'm listening to the chord changes and all of that, I get that feeling. If I'm doing a podcast and I post it and I get a whole lot of good comments on how I changed somebody's life and how I influence someone to turn their life around for good or anything like that, it gives me that feeling. if I'm going through something in my life and then I meditate and I just get that aha moment and get that epiphany that I've been struggling with it for years or months or whatever, and I just get that aha epiphany moment, that is what gives me that feeling. When I'm DJing at a party or at a club and I switch the song up and I play something that catches everybody off guard and they just start cheering and clapping and screaming my DJ name and all of that stuff, that gives me that feeling. And man, there's no better feeling in the world. I can't lie, y'all. That's why I encourage y'all, whatever it is that gives you that joy that the world didn't give to you, don't let nobody belittle you or coax you into not doing that anymore, because that's where your true feeling of bliss and euphoria comes from. And as long as you got your mind and your body wired in that type of way, there's nothing that this world or any low-level spiritual parasites or anything like that is gonna ever be able to do to you. And I mean it. So it's my little rant video, I guess. Hope y'all got something out of that. Really, I was just rambling, but every time I do these rambling videos, people always tell me about the gems that they ended up finding while rummaging through this ramble. So like I said, y'all, I'm gonna do that video in its divine time. And like I always say, follow me on Instagram, Bandclap TV, Belly Amar, Jewelry and Gemstones, Shop Belly Amar. Also, if y'all would like to donate, my PayPal and my Cash App, all of that stuff is below. It'll definitely help me out a lot as far as growing my channel and me getting the equipment that I need. I'm literally recording these videos with a laptop that the keyboard doesn't work at all. This microphone is cool, but it's not mine, so definitely want to get me a real good microphone and fix my laptop, get me a real plush setup so that I can give y'all high quality videos. But even though my equipment may not be up to par, my content is always going to be the same. So I appreciate all y'all for y'all support, and until next time, Bandclap TV, we out.